You remember perfectly the day you met them, the words they said, the color of the sky. You would swear to it in a courtroom. But here is the strange part. Some of it never happened, not exaggerated, not misremembered, invented. Your brain built a memory and handed it to you as fact, and you never noticed the seam. This is not a flaw. It is the whole design. Think about your last argument with someone close to you. You remember exactly what they said. They remember something different. You are both certain. You are both wrong a little, and neither of you is lying. Your memory was never a recording device. It was never meant to be one. And once you understand why, you will never trust a memory the same way again. Start with what memory feels like. It feels like replay. Close your eyes and picture your childhood bedroom, and it arrives instantly whole, like a video file opening. That feeling of wholeness is the trick, because memory does not store scenes. It stores fragments scattered across your brain like torn pages. And every time you remember something, your brain reassembles those pages from scratch. It does not press play. It writes a new draft. This was proven in a way that still unsettles researchers today. In the 1990s, the psychologist Elizabeth Loftus ran an experiment that became famous for how simple and how disturbing it was. She told adult participants 4 childhood stories supposedly gathered from their own families. 3 were true. 1 was completely fabricated, describing a time the person got lost in a shopping mall as a child. Roughly a quarter of participants did not just accept the fake story. They elaborated on it. They added details, the color of the shirt they were wearing, the fear they felt, a kind man who helped them find their parents. None of it happened. All of it felt real. Why would a brain do that? Why build something so unreliable? Because accuracy was never the goal. Usefulness was. Go back further than shopping malls, further than childhood, back to the world your brain was actually built for. 200,000 years ago, remembering exact detail was a waste of energy. What mattered was not what happened, but what it meant for next time. Which berries made you sick? Which sound came before the predator? Which path led to water when the dry season came? A brain that stored perfect footage would have been slower, heavier, harder to run on limited calories. A brain that stored the lesson and discarded the noise was faster, and faster brains survived longer, so your memory evolved to compress. It keeps the emotional core of an event and rebuilds the rest around it, filling gaps with whatever fits best. Most of the time, this works beautifully. You do not need to remember every meal you have ever eaten to know that fire's hot. You need the takeaway, not the transcript. But here is where it gets strange. The filling-in process does not know the difference between a real detail and a plausible one. It borrows from other memories. It borrows from things you were told. It borrows from your imagination, and it stitches all of it together so smoothly that the final product feels seamless, feels certain, feels like truth. This is why eyewitness testimony, for so long treated as the gold standard of courtroom evidence, has turned out to be dangerously unreliable. Researcher Gary Wells spent decades studying eyewitness identification and found that confidence and accuracy barely correlate. A witness can be completely certain and completely wrong, not because they are lying, but because their brain reconstructed a face from fragments and handed it over labeled as memory. Innocence Project data later confirmed just how costly this can be, with mistaken eyewitness identification playing a role in a majority of wrongful convictions later overturned by DNA evidence. Pause on that for a second. People lost years of their lives, not to malice, but to a brain doing exactly what it evolved to do. You might think, fine, but that is other people in extreme situations under stress. Surely your own memories, the ones that matter to you, are safer than that. They are not. Every time you recall a memory, you do not just view it, you reopen it. And while it is open, it is vulnerable to being rewritten. Neuroscientists call this reconsolidation. The memory gets pulled from storage, exposed to your current mood, your current knowledge, whatever else is happening in your mind at that moment, and then it gets saved again, slightly altered, not once, every single time you remember it. If this means the memory you have right now of your first kiss, your worst fight, your happiest birthday is not the original. It is a copy of a copy of a copy, and each copy was quietly edited by the version of you doing the remembering. So why does this matter to you today? Scrolling through old photos, replaying old conversations in your head, because it means the story you tell about your own life is not fixed. It is being written and rewritten constantly, shaped by who you are now more than by who you were then. That fight with your parent you remember as cruel might have looked different in the moment. That failure you remember as humiliating might have been smaller than it feels. Your brain is not lying to you. It is doing what it has always done, updating the story to match the meaning you need from it now. There's something almost freeing in that. Once you sit with it, if memory were a fixed recording, you would be a prisoner of every bad day you ever had, replaying it with perfect fidelity forever. Instead, memory is closer to a living thing, reshaped every time you touch it. This is why therapy can work. This is why perspective can change how a painful memory feels even years later without changing a single fact. You are not accessing the past. You are negotiating with it. So the next time you say, I remember it like it was yesterday, notice the sentence for what it actually is. Not a claim about the past, a claim about the story your brain has decided to keep telling you, refined a little more each time you tell it. You do not have a photograph of your life. You have an artist working from memory, redrawing the same picture every time you ask to see it. Some lines stay, some lines shift, and you never notice the difference because the artist never puts down the brush.